Hello, I'm Alec, Alger, the SideQuest gamer here.
And I am some guy you do not know.
Well, don't be too hard on yourself. And today, we're going to review 2 movies and 2 games.
That's right. First, we're going to be looking at a game for the PS Vita.
By the name of PlayStation All-Stars.
Trolls might call it Super Sony Brothers.
And also, we're going to review Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And also, we're going to be reviewing 2 movies, Shawshank Redemption and Chronicles of Narnia.
So, sit down, grab a snack, because this might take a while.
So, sit back and enjoy our first broadcast of the Filmstrip Arcade. Alright, so, without further ado, let's get started on the review for PlayStation All-Stars for the
Battle Royale!
And it's like, Justin, go ahead. Tell me your opinion on the game overall.
Well, I personally like the game. And for those of you who are gonna think I'm a Smash Bros. Hater, I do not. I love Super Smash Bros. I think it's one of the greatest fighting games ever made.
I agree.
And this game has been getting pandered and not much attention due to people thinking it's a Smash Brothers clone. I just want to say it's not entirely a Smash Bros. Clone. It may look like a Smash Brothers game, but it plays completely different.
Keep in mind, Banjo-Kazooie got the same exact accusations of being a Mario 64 clone, but people love that. And Battle Royale is no different.
But first, let's talk about the gameplay.
Yeah.
As you can see, it does look like Smash Brothers, as in it's kind of a side view platforming fighter.
Yeah.
But it plays differently in that you have more moves and the way you kill people is different. For instance, in Smash Brothers, the goal was to simply knock people out of the arena. Here, you have a super meter, which has a level 1, 2, and a 3 super move, and you use those to kill people. Well, and that's how you rack up kills. Now, a lot of people are gonna say that's the stupidest thing you can think of, but be honest, it speeds the game up a lot. What do you think, Alec?
I totally agree. While I do prefer Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Wii and stuff, the Vita version of the Battle Royale is really fun. I will agree it's more fast-paced and stuff, but as a Brawl ripoff, I totally disagree with the internet trolls out there. I mean, there are less items that you use to kill people, and like I said, the only way to kill them is to fill up your Smash meter and then knock them out. And Smash level 1 would be like avoidable, and Smash 2 is also avoidable, but a little bit harder, and Smash 3 is, well, if you're the opponent, you're screwed.
Agreed. But let's talk about what a lot of people want here. Who's on the character roster?
Well, so far we got Sackboy from Little Big Planet.
We got Kratos from God of War.
We have Raiden from Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4.
We have Jak and Daxter.
We have Sly Cooper.
Ratchet and Clank.
And the list goes on.
But however, this is one of my complaints, in that there are not that many characters.
I agree.
I would have loved to see more.
Yeah, like Legend of Dragoon's protagonist, what's his name?
Dart,
yeah. It's like, he was planned to be on Battle Royale, but unfortunately he was panned.
Same with Abe from Oddworld.
Yeah, so that's too bad. Although Abe, I don't know how he would control in a fighter game, but it's still disappointing nonetheless, since Oddworld is one of the best PlayStation series out there.
Yes, and you PlayStation fans are going to be disappointed, which I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed, but Crash and Spyro do not make an appearance.
Yeah, it's too bad, because they were my favorite game series on the PlayStation. A lot of the heroes and IPs that made the PlayStation 1 famous are not in this. Only like Sony exclusive characters. For instance, I would have really liked to see Chris Redfield or Leon S. Kennedy from Resident Evil.
I would have really loved to at least see some of the Team Ico characters, like the Wanderer from Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, that's also disappointing. And who else was left out?
the Final Fantasy characters could have been in it.
Of course, especially Sephiroth. He would have been a very fun character to play as.
Now, let's talk about some other things that are good about the game.
Well, graphics. I've never played Battle Royale until recently, and I gotta say, the graphics on the Vita, they're really impressive. Like, they look better than the PlayStation 2, and it's really interesting.
Yes, and one thing I will say is that Smash Bros. Fans are going to want to kill me for this. There was one thing I felt they did better than Smash Brothers, and that is, I think the arenas are a lot cooler.
Yes.
Because when you look at the Smash Brothers arenas, they're basically just floating platforms.
Yeah, nothing special. Well,
but here, they actually get pretty creative. For instance, you'd be fighting in Hades from God of War, and then eventually the Patapons will show up in the background and start throwing spears at you and Hades.
While you call interference, I call that an interesting innovational gameplay aspect.
And one of my favorite stages has to be the Uncharted, has to be the one that's based on the plane level from Uncharted 3.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of Uncharted 3, and it's like, to see this on a fighter game is just like...
Yes, and what also I think is really interesting is the customizations.
Yes.
You can give your character, any costumes, you can give them... You can, customize their taunts, their intros, their outros.
Since it had costume customization, actually, one thing I'd like to note, for a character roster that's pretty small, it was a pretty waste of space to add Evil Cole and Good Cole McGrath.
I agree. Why would you do Evil Cole, make Evil Cole his own separate character? In fact, why would you put Big Daddy in it instead of Crash? I don't know. What do you think about Big Daddy being in it?
I like to call Super Smash Bros. Melee cloning, where he had Super Mario and Dr. Mario. He had Star Fox and Falco.
Yes, I agree.
It's unnecessary. It's a waste of memory for what could have been new characters, but instead we had clone characters.
But it's just one clone character, so it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah,
well, it sort of is, but...
They're not exactly clones either, since they have, different powers and stuff.
Yes, they do have different powers.
They're pretty much equal, despite the differences.
I wouldn't say that. Evil Cole's super moves are way different and probably a lot more powerful than Good Cole's.
Yes.
A lot of people are going to be angry at why they chose Raiden instead of Snake.
Well, knowing I was really disappointed at his inclusion in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I did not like the way he played. I always imagined him to be more acrobatic, but he was not. All he could do was throw little grenades that hardly did any damage. So, adding Raiden with all his blades and battle armor, I think that's really creative and interesting.
And I think the way a lot of the characters play is really interesting. For example, you got guys like Sweet Tooth or Zeus, which are more of the big heavy hitters.
Yeah.
You got guys like Raditz from Killzone or Jak and Daxter,
yes,
who are all range. Then you got guys like Kratos, Nariko, and Raiden, who are more you want to do just button-mashing combos.
Yes, and Big Daddy from Bioshock, he's pretty fun. He reminds me of Meta Knight in a sense, but not quite.
I wouldn't really say that.
No, but his drill is kind of similar to his spinning sword attack from Brawl.
Oh yeah. That drill move is pretty hard to dodge.
Yeah.
Though I will say some characters' moves are a little overpowered. For example, Raditz has this move where... He pulls out a sniper rifle and shoots you.
Yeah. And
he can shoot people across the stage, and no one else can do that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little overpowered.
Yeah, but it's who else is overpowered?
Also, Kratos, I feel, is a little overpowered.
What about Zeus? I think he's kind of a bit overpowered.
But Zeus is pretty slow, so it kind of...
Well, that does even out.
But one thing I have to mention, I know you're probably wondering, which character should I play as if I'm a starter? Well, if you're a starter, I would suggest Kratos. He's the easiest to use.
And if you're a starter, do not use Sackboy. I was a starter recently, and I picked Sackboy thinking he was going to be evened out, but he was not. He controlled like garbage.
But if you want to know the moves of, say, your favorite characters, then it has a tutorial. There are multiple tutorials, but I would suggest using the one where you can learn the moves for an individual character. For example, if you want to be really good as Isaac Clarke, you could just, go to the tutorial and be Isaac Clarke.
Yeah.
And learn all his moves.
Yeah.
Moves. The story mode, I'm not going to touch on. It's basically your typical fighting game story mode in which you just fight through a bunch of enemies until you reach the final boss. But it's interesting is that it starts you off fighting one guy, then two guys, and then three guys.
Yeah, so it's like a nice difficulty curve.
And a lot of the level 3 supers are really interesting, particularly Parappa the Rappers.
Oh, yes.
However, some people's level 3s may be a little bit more overpowered than others, as in they kill all 3 of you at once, while others don't.
What would you get for the casual gamers out there? What would you give this? The red light or the green light?
I give it the green.
Same here. Well, I may not love it as much as Super Smash Bros. Melee or Brawl. will say this is an essential game for fighter fans and PS Vita owners out there.
Yes, and what's really cool is, from what I've learned, I'm not going to sound like a complete marketer here, but if you get the PS3 version and you own a PS Vita, you can download it. There's a thing where you can download it on your PS Vita. But what's really cool is if, alright, say you're at a friend's house and you want to play this game. He has it for a PS3, but you've mostly been playing it for the Vita.
Yes.
You can, if those who own a Vita know, you can hook up your Vita to a PS3.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty interesting how you could use your Vita and play it, your friend, and you could,
Yeah. It's like, while you play it on the Vita, he can play it on the
And you both
TV.
be playing on the same match. You both be playing on the same match against each other.
And there's no advantages or disadvantages.
Yes. And I will say this, one thing I do think it also does a little better than Smash Bros. Is I think it's more user-friendly, because I let my younger cousin play this. All I had to do is just put all the enemies on easy. He beat them all. And in Smash Brothers, you could put the enemies on easy, but if you're not no experience with Super Smash Brothers.
So, I agree with his beginner friend. I agree that about his how he says it's beginner friendly. I personally am not that skilled with fighting video games. Like in Mortal Kombat, I can hardly get past the second match. As for the PlayStation 3 and Vita, you can set the difficulty low, so even dummies like me can actually have a sense of self-worth. Oh, what's your opinion on the music?
I like the music.
Yeah, it's interesting music. It fits the atmosphere of the arena. Yes. But there will be a little bit too much shouting to actually absorb the music, unless you're playing against a computer that doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Plus, I actually thought the remix they did of the Uncharted theme was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it worked really well.
Yes, I really like that remix they did of the Uncharted theme.
Yes. Yeah. We'll be right back after these commercials to review Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
And welcome back!
Yeah, right now we are going to review the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Made by Disney, it starred Liam Neeson as Aslan the Lion, and I can't remember the actors and actresses who played as the children, but
Did they even go anywhere?
With their career? Or?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but all I know is that Lucy and Edmund were the actor and actress who played as them were in all 3 movies. So, anyways, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a very good adaptation of the book, and it's made by Disney. And for a Disney movie, it's not afraid to show some really mature elements such as death. Well, of course, it's notorious for showing death, but this is where you see the characters get stabbed, go to war. It's a lot for a kid to take in. Interesting enough, it's only rated PG, meaning a 10-year-old could see it.
Yeah, yes, but let's talk about the story, shall we?
Yeah.
That's it. Alright, the story centers around 4 human children who have to move away from their home during World War II. they're taken in by a professor who owns a magical wardrobe to enter into the magical world of Narnia. When arriving in Narnia, they find out that they are 4 chosen heroes, supposedly. It is said that the descendants of Adam and Eve will come to Narnia and defeat the White Queen, and we're told, that is told to them by a bunch of talking beavers, that the descendants of Adam and Eve will overthrow the White Queen and save Narnia.
And end the everlasting winter, and spring will finally arrive. Let's talk about the actors and actresses. Like, these child actors and actresses may or may not have been in other stuff before.
But they aren't that bad.
They actually feel like children. Well, except for the oldest daughter. She felt a little more older than she had to be, but knowing that...
wasn't that kind of the point?
Yeah, that's probably...
She's like trying to act more mature than she's supposed to.
Yeah, she was kind of upstaged by the other 3, especially the oldest brother, Peter, I believe his name to be.
Yes.
Yeah. And the story really centers around Lucy, the youngest daughter, and Edmund, who's mischievous, but he's overall a good person. But we see him being corrupted by the White Witch, and he does not know that this kind woman he was talking to was the evil witch that was ruling Narnia.
Indeed. And she got some pretty impressive voice actors. I mean, you got Rupert Evelyn as a fox, who I think sounds pretty,
And Liam Neeson.
Yeah, the great Liam Neeson.
Who played as Aslan the Lion. Liam Neeson, I officially forgive you for starring in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
Even though I liked your character out of all the other characters in that movie, it was still a movie you don't want your name to be in the resume.
Indeed. Now, let's talk about other things. What did you think of the effects and the cinematography?
Well, it's, mathematically speaking, it is less than or equal to the Lord of the Rings effects. While the atmosphere may appear brighter than Lord of the Rings' dark atmosphere and tone, I thought the effects worked real well, although there was hardly any blood splatter, so...
Indeed, and you have to admit, the final battle was awesome, seeing all these, fantasy creatures fighting each other.
Yeah.
And let's also talk about how awesome the music was.
Oh, yeah.
The battle music, was probably one of the best battle musics in the history of battle musics in cinema.
Yeah,
that's right up there with the music from, Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, that's it really gives a sense of atmosphere, battle, and it worked real well with the setting, atmosphere, and timing. The music just knew when to come in at the right time.
Precisely.
Although, the White Witch, it's I always picture her as more wicked when I was reading the books and stuff, but when I see her in the movie, she's she doesn't know what approach she wants to do with the White Witch. She just, seems mostly passive-aggressive. Maybe that was the point, but I don't know. She seemed to be the weakest actress in the movie.
Now, how do you think of the side characters?
The side characters, well, even though they're not the destined heroes to defeat the White Witch, they really help the main characters a lot. Especially the beavers who offered their home and food and to these people who are the prophesized heroes, but they helped shelter them when the wolves were out to get them.
Yes, I thought the beavers were pretty interesting, and I also really liked Mr. Thomas. I thought he was a great character.
Yeah, it's he's just so afraid and intimidated by the White Witch.
But at the same time, he wants to do the right thing.
Yeah, so even when he betrayed Lucy and stuff, he felt so guilty.
And became her friend, and I actually thought they had a really good friendship.
Yeah, and Lucy, even when she found out he betrayed her, it's really nice to see her forgiving nature well replicated into the movie.
Agreed.
In fact, I will dare say that the Lucy in the movie is much better than the one in the book. She just knows when to be brave, and knows how to be kind and forgiving.
How is Lucy in the book? I never read the books.
Well, the book, she's just that typical fantasy youngest daughter girl you see in most fiction. In the book, because there was some spotlight, but it was all about the 4 kids together, not any of them apart. And overall, the movie was just fantastic. It's one of the best. It's definitely the best picture of 2006,
and probably one of the best film adaptations of a book, next to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I'd say
definitely. It's it's well worth a watch, and its sequel is no different. Even though everybody hated animated Prince Caspian. It's still worth checking out too. So, we'll review that one sometime. For the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I will give it a green light.
I would agree. I give it a green light, even though it's been a while since I saw it, but I do remember it.
Yeah.
I remember, like, the music, I remember the action, I remember really liking it, so, yeah, green light.
Yeah, it's one of those movies you can just watch over and over again and never get sick of it. We'll be right back after this commercial break to review Marvel vs. Capcom 3.